After 3 years in prison, I came home to my father gone and my stepmother in his house. He passed away a year ago, she said. She didn't know about his letter, key, and video he left. She framed you. The bus dropped me at the edge of Millbrook at 4:47 p.m. on a Thursday. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days since I'd seen this street. I walked the mile and a half to my father's house carrying everything I owned in a canvas duffel bag, state-issued jacket, $37 in my pocket, a phone so old it barely held a charge. The house looked different. New shutters, dark green instead of white. The mailbox had been replaced. The lawn was professionally maintained, edges sharp enough to cut. I stood at the end of the driveway staring. This was supposed to be coming home. It felt like approaching enemy territory. I knocked on the door I used to walk through without thinking. Cassandra opened it after 30 seconds that felt like 30 minutes. My stepmother, blonde hair perfectly styled, cream-colored cashmere sweater, diamond earrings catching the late afternoon light. She looked at me like I was a door-to-door salesman she had no interest in entertaining. "Jordan," she said, flat, no warmth, no surprise. "Is Dad home?" Her expression didn't change. "Your father passed away 14 months ago." The words hit like a physical blow. I stood there, mouth open, brain trying to process sounds that didn't make sense. "What? He's gone," she said simply. "We held a service. It was lovely." My throat closed. Why didn't anyone tell me? Cassandra's mouth curved slightly. Not a smile, something colder. "You were incarcerated, Jordan. What did you expect? A personal notification? You could have what? Driven 3 hours to a prison to inform you in person? Sent a card to your cell?" She stepped back slightly, hand still on the door. "Dylan and I live here now. The house is ours. So unless you have some other business, I think it's best you move along." The door closed. Not slammed, just closed. Firm, final. The deadbolt clicked into place. I stood on the porch of my childhood home, staring at expensive wood, and felt something crack inside my chest. I ended up at Pinewood Cemetery without really deciding to go there. Just walked. Let my feet choose direction. The cemetery sat on 12 acres at the north edge of town. Old oaks everywhere. Headstones dating back to 1847. A man in his 60s was raking leaves near the maintenance building. Weathered face, work gloves, flannel shirt under a canvas vest. He looked up as I approached. "Help you find someone?" he asked. "Richard Brennan, my father." Something shifted in his expression. Recognition, then something else. Concern. "You're Jordan." I nodded. He set the rake against a stone bench and pulled off his gloves slowly. "Name's Walter. I'm the groundskeeper here. Knew your dad pretty well." He paused. "He talked about you sometimes." My throat tightened. "Can you show me where he is?" Walter looked at me for a long moment, then shook his head slowly. "He's not here." Cold spread through my chest. "What do you mean he's not here?" "I mean exactly that. There was a service, but no burial. She had him cremated." "Cassandra?" "Yeah." His voice dropped. "She told everyone the ashes were scattered at some lake up north. But your dad..." He trailed off. "What?" Walter glanced around like he was checking for witnesses, then pulled a manila envelope from inside his vest. "He gave me this 6 months before he passed. Made me promise to hold it until you showed up asking questions." My hands went numb as I took the envelope. "He knew you'd come here," Walter said quietly, "and he knew what she'd tell you." Inside the envelope was a storage unit key attached to a laminated card. "Secure Storage Depot, Unit 241. Below it, in my father's handwriting, "Everything you need. Watch the video first." The date on the note was 3 months before my release date. He'd written this, knowing I'd be free soon, knowing he wouldn't be alive to explain. Secure Storage Depot was on Highway 9, halfway between Millbrook and the next town over. Anonymous gray building, climate-controlled, 24-hour access with a code. Unit 241 was on the second floor at the end of a long hallway that smelled like cardboard and air conditioning. I opened the door with shaking hands. Boxes, at least 20 of them, stacked neatly, labeled in black marker, financial records, business documents, correspondence, medical, legal, evidence. In the center, sitting on top of everything else, was a laptop bag. I unzipped it. MacBook Pro, charger, and a sticky note in my father's handwriting. Password Jordan 2001. Watch the video on the desktop first. I sat on the concrete floor and powered up the laptop. The video file was labeled, "For Jordan, play first." I clicked it. My father's face filled the screen, thinner than I remembered, pale, dark circles under his eyes, but his gaze was steady. "Jordan," he said softly, "if you're watching this, you're out, and I'm gone." His voice cracked slightly on the last word. "I'm sorry I'm not there to tell you this in person. I wanted to be, but time ran out." He took a breath. "The night you were taken into custody, I believed what they told me. The evidence seemed overwhelming. You had access. You had opportunity. The money trail pointed straight to you." My chest tightened. "But I'm your father, and something didn't sit right. So I started digging." He leaned closer to the camera. "You didn't take that money, Jordan. Dylan did." My vision blurred. He'd been skimming from the business accounts for 8 months. Small amounts at first, then larger. By the time the auditors noticed, he'd taken almost $200,000. My father's hands appeared on screen, clasped together. When the investigation started, he needed someone to blame. Someone with system access. Someone who wouldn't see it coming. He swallowed hard. Cassandra helped him. "She gave him your passwords from the company database. She planted digital evidence on your work computer. She even fabricated email threads that made it look like you were planning to leave town." The room tilted. tilted. I found proof. It took months, but I found it. Bank statements, digital forensics reports, and eventually a signed confession. His expression hardened. Dylan broke under pressure. When I confronted him with the forensic evidence, he admitted everything. I recorded it. Legally. He knew he was being recorded. My father looked directly into the camera. I've left you everything you need to clear your name. Bank records showing the actual money trail. Digital forensics from an independent expert. Dylan's confession on video. And documentation proving Cassandra knew the entire time. His voice dropped. But Jordan, listen to me carefully. If you go back to that house without securing this evidence first, they'll find a way to take it, or discredit it, or make it disappear. He paused. I'm sorry I couldn't fix this before you went away. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening until it was too late. But I'm giving you the tools to finish what I started. The video ended. I sat in the silence of the storage unit, staring at a frozen image of my father's face. Gone for 14 months. And I was just finding out now in a storage facility through a video recorded from beyond the grave. I spent 6 hours going through boxes. Financial records from my father's construction business showing irregular withdrawals. Bank statements with Dylan's signature on transfer authorizations. Property tax documents that had been altered to redirect payments. Medical records showing my father had been prescribed heavy sedatives in the months before certain business decisions were made. Dates that corresponded exactly with major financial transactions he supposedly approved. And a folder labeled Confession Dylan Brennan, August 2022. Inside, a flash drive and a legal document. I plugged the drive into the laptop. Video file, 23 minutes long. My father's home office. I recognized the bookshelf behind him. Dylan sat in a chair facing the camera, 28 years old, thin, nervous. He kept touching his face. My father's voice, off camera. For the record, today is August 19th, 2022. This conversation is being recorded with your full knowledge and consent. Is that correct? Dylan nodded. I need you to say it out loud. Yes, I know I'm being recorded, and you've been informed that anything you say can be used in legal proceedings? Yes. My father's voice was calm, clinical. Tell me what happened with the business accounts. Dylan's leg bounced. I needed money. Mom's medical bills from the year before were still coming in. I thought I could borrow from the accounts and pay it back before anyone noticed. How much did you take initially? Maybe $3,000. Then another $4,000. It was supposed to be temporary, but it wasn't. Dylan's face crumpled. It got out of control. I kept taking more. I couldn't stop. How much total? Around $180,000. My father let that number sit in the air. And when the auditors started asking questions, what did you do? Dylan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. I panicked. Mom said we needed to redirect attention. She suggested Jordan. My stomach turned. She suggested your stepbrother? She said he had access too, that it would be easy to make it look like him instead of me. How did you frame him? Mom got his passwords from the HR database. She had admin access. We logged into the accounting system using his credentials and made transfers that looked like he was moving money to external accounts. And the laptop? We planted files on his work computer when he wasn't at his desk. Made it look like he was researching how to hide financial records. My father's voice stayed level. Did Jordan Brennan take any money from the company? No. Did he know about your actions? No. So everything the prosecution presented against him was falsified by you and your mother? Dylan nodded, tears running down his face. Yes. Say it clearly. Yes. Jordan didn't do anything. It was me and Mom. We framed him. The video continued. More details. More admissions. By the end, Dylan had confessed to everything, and my father had recorded every word. I called legal aid services at 8:47 the next morning. The receptionist transferred me to an attorney named Vincent Reeves, 30 years in criminal defense. His voice sounded tired but sharp. Mr. Brennan, what can I help you with? I was convicted of embezzlement 3 years ago. I just discovered evidence that I was framed. Silence on the line. What kind of evidence? A video confession from the actual perpetrator. Bank records. Digital forensics. All documented by my father before he passed away. And you have physical possession of this evidence? Yes, it's secured. Don't move it. Don't copy it. Don't show it to anyone. I'm coming to you. Where are you? I gave him the storage facility address. He arrived 90 minutes later. Vincent Reeves was tall, gray-haired, with reading glasses on a chain. He wore a suit that had seen better days and carried a leather briefcase that looked older than I was. He sat on an overturned crate and watched Dylan's confession twice. Then he read through the financial documents, then the forensics reports. When he finished, he took off his glasses and rubbed his eyes. This is extraordinary, he said quietly. Can we use it? Use it? Mr. Brennan, this doesn't just create reasonable doubt. This is proof of innocence. Documented, recorded, admitted proof. He looked at me carefully. But we need to do this right. If we go in half prepared, they'll find ways to exclude evidence or claim procedural violations. We need an ironclad presentation. How long? Give me 3 weeks to file the appropriate motions. We'll need an evidentiary hearing first. Then we push for a full exoneration. I nodded. Vincent stood and extended his hand. Your father must have been an exceptional man to gather all this. My throat tightened. He was. He gave you more than evidence, Jordan. He gave you justice. Let's not waste it. The motions were filed on October 14th. Motion to vacate conviction based on newly discovered evidence. counts. Motion for evidentiary hearing. Motion to compel investigation of prosecutorial misconduct. Cassandra's phone number started appearing on my call log 2 days later. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, increasingly frantic. Jordan, please call me. We need to talk about this misunderstanding. There are lawyers calling about the house. I don't understand what's happening. Your father would want us to work this out as a family. I deleted everyone without listening all the way through. On October 29th, a court order was issued freezing the assets of Dylan Brennan and Cassandra Brennan pending investigation. The house, the bank accounts, the vehicles, everything. Cassandra called 11 times that day. I finally answered on the 12th. Jordan, thank God. These lawyers are saying, I know what they're saying. Her tone shifted, warmer, almost maternal. We can fix this. Whatever's happened, we're still family. We can sit down and we're not family, I said. We never were. Silence. I don't understand what you... I found Dad's storage unit. I found everything he left me. I heard her breath catch. I've watched Dylan confess. I've read the financial forensics. I know what you did. Jordan, whatever your father told you, he was very ill toward the end. He wasn't thinking clearly. He was thinking perfectly clearly. That's why he documented everything. That's why he recorded Dylan's confession. That's why he made sure I'd have proof. Her voice dropped. The warmth evaporated. You have no idea what you're doing. If you push this, you'll only make things worse for yourself. Worse than 3 years in prison for something I didn't do? We gave you a home. We supported you. And this is how you framed me. My voice was shaking. You let me go to prison knowing I was innocent. You stood by while my life was destroyed. And when Dad found out, you probably made sure he couldn't do anything about it. That's insane. The medical records show he was being given sedatives he never asked for. Prescriptions filled by you. Administered by you. I heard something crash in the background. You can't prove any of this, Cassandra said. Her voice was steel now. No pretense. I don't have to prove it. Dad already did. I hung up. The evidentiary hearing was scheduled for November 18th. Judge Sarah Whitmore presiding. 15 years on the bench. Reputation for being thorough and unforgiving of prosecutorial overreach. Vincent Reeves filed a 47-page brief with attached exhibits. The prosecution tried to block Dylan's confession as hearsay. Judge Whitmore denied the motion. A recorded confession is a statement against interest. It's admissible. They tried to exclude the financial forensics as irrelevant. Denied. These records directly contradict the prosecution's original theory. Relevance is obvious. They argued the evidence should have been presented during the original trial. The defendant didn't possess this evidence during trial, Judge Whitmore said dryly. His father compiled it afterward and held it until the defendant's release. The court will hear it. The hearing lasted 2 days. Day 1. Vincent presented the video confession. The courtroom went silent, watching Dylan admit to everything. Then the financial expert testified. Rebecca Santos, certified forensic accountant, 23 years of experience. She walked the judge through every transaction, showed how the money actually flowed, demonstrated that my access codes had been used from IP addresses I couldn't have been at. The digital footprint is clear, she said. The transfers attributed to Jordan Brennan were executed from locations he couldn't have accessed. Work computers when he was verified to be off-site. His laptop when it was documented to be in evidence storage. The prosecutor tried to poke holes. Rebecca shut him down with timestamps and server logs. Day 2. The medical records. Dr. James Holloway, my father's physician, testified via deposition. Richard Brennan was prescribed Ambien and Ativan, he said, but only in limited doses for occasional insomnia. The pharmacy records show much larger quantities were being filled. I didn't authorize those refills. Who did? Vincent asked. His wife, Cassandra Brennan. She had healthcare proxy. And Mr. Brennan's cognitive state during the period these medications were being administered? Dr. Holloway looked uncomfortable. He complained of confusion, memory gaps. He thought it was early-stage dementia. I ordered cognitive tests. They came back normal. That should have been a red flag. The prosecutor looked pale. Then Vincent played the second video. My father, same office, different date. This is supplemental documentation for my son, Jordan Brennan. If this video is being presented in court, it means I'm gone. And it means someone tried to suppress what I found. He held up a folder. These are medical records showing I was being given medications I didn't request. Bank statements showing transactions I don't remember authorizing. And communication logs proving my wife knew about Dylan's actions before Jordan was ever accused. He looked directly at the camera. Cassandra Brennan and Dylan Brennan conspired to frame my son. They used my illness and my trust against me. And when I discovered the truth, they tried to keep me sedated enough that I couldn't act on it. His voice hardened. I'm acting on it now. From whatever comes after this. The video ended. Judge Whitmore sat back in her chair. Is the prosecution prepared to defend the original conviction in light of this evidence? The assistant district attorney stood slowly. Your Honor, we'd like to request a continuance to review. Denied. This evidence is overwhelming. Do you have any witnesses or documentation that contradicts what's been presented? We'd need time to... That's a no. Judge Whitmore looked at me. Mr. Brennan, this court is convinced beyond any reasonable doubt that you were wrongfully convicted. Your conviction is hereby vacated, effective immediately. The courtroom erupted. Vincent grabbed my shoulder. We did it, but Judge Whitmore wasn't finished. Additionally, I'm referring this case to the district attorney's office for immediate investigation investigation of Cassandra Brennan and Dylan Brennan for fraud, conspiracy, and evidence tampering. And I'm ordering an investigation into whether my court was misled by the original prosecution. She looked at the assistant DA. If your office knowingly presented false evidence, there will be consequences. Clear the courtroom. The indictments came 3 weeks later. Cassandra Brennan, fraud, conspiracy, evidence tampering, computer crimes, unauthorized practice of medicine. Dylan Brennan, embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy, perjury. The prosecutor from my original trial was suspended pending an ethics investigation. I sat in Vincent Reeves's office when the news came through. It's over, he said. Is it? The criminal part is. You're exonerated. They're facing charges. Justice is being served. I stared out his window at downtown Millbrook. My dad should be here to see this. Vincent was quiet for a moment. He saw it already. That's why he did what he did. He knew he couldn't be here, so he made sure justice would be. I thought about my father, working alone, gathering evidence, recording confessions, building a case from a hospital bed, fighting for me when I didn't even know I needed fighting for. He gave you something most wrongfully convicted people never get, Vincent said. Proof. Undeniable, documented proof. Do you know how rare that is? I didn't answer. Your father loved you enough to become a detective, a lawyer, and a protector all at once. That's not nothing, Jordan. And 6 months later, I stood outside the house on Maple Street. The for sale sign had been up for 2 months. Cassandra and Dylan were awaiting trial. The assets had been liquidated to pay legal fees. The house sold for $340,000. After the debts were settled, there was $87,000 left. The court awarded it to me as partial compensation for wrongful imprisonment. I didn't want the money, but I took it because my father would have wanted me to use it to start over. I enrolled at community college, business management, the same degree program I'd been pursuing when my life got interrupted. On the first day of class, my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. Mr. Brennan, this is Walter from Pinewood Cemetery. I thought you'd want to know. We're installing a memorial stone for your father today. Section C, plot 47. It's not a burial, but it's something. I stared at the message. Below it, a photo. A simple gray stone. Clean lines. Elegant. Richard James Brennan. 1959. 2023. Father, protector, truth seeker. I sat in my truck in the parking lot and cried for the first time since watching that video in the storage unit. Not because I was sad, because I finally understood what my father had done. He'd spent his final months building a case, gathering evidence, recording confessions, preparing a legal defense for a son who wouldn't be free to use it for 3 more years. He'd fought for me when I couldn't fight for myself, and he'd won. The trial for Cassandra and Dylan Brennan began in September. I sat in the courtroom every day, front row, Vincent Reeves beside me. Dylan pled guilty on day 3, took a deal, 8 years, eligible for parole in 5. Cassandra fought. She claimed she'd been manipulated by Dylan, that she didn't know the extent of his actions, that my father's evidence was fabricated in his diminished mental state. The jury didn't buy it. Guilty on all counts. 15 years. No possibility of parole for 10. When the verdict was read, she didn't react. Just stared straight ahead, hands folded in her lap. But as they led her out, she looked directly at me. No words, just a look. I stared back, and I realized I didn't feel triumph, or vindication, or even anger anymore. I just felt tired. 3 years of my life gone. My father gone. My 20s stolen. Justice had been served. But justice doesn't give you back what was taken. It just makes sure the people who took it pay the price. 1 year after my exoneration, I graduated with my associate degree. Top of my class. Dean's list every semester. At the graduation ceremony, Vincent Reeves showed up with flowers. Your father would be proud, he said. I know. We stood in the parking lot while other families took photos and celebrated. What's next for you? Vincent asked. Bachelor's degree. Then maybe law school. He raised an eyebrow. Law school? Someone needs to help people who end up where I was. People who don't have a father gathering evidence for them. People who have nothing but the truth and no way to prove it. Vincent smiled. Your father would be very proud. I looked up at the clear blue sky. I hope so.